bar time. Alright, so we'll come down here, data, and data.length is greater than 0, and render, I guess, bar chart. Too many of those again. Const render bar charts. Now this one is a bit more complicated, but we'll step through all of it. I'm gonna have to wing this one a little bit, but that's all right. Const gap between ticks. This will be our y gap. We're gonna get the y max, the y value gap, and that is from calculate height. And we'll get the gap. This will be our x gap equals calculate width. And our const y is going to always be the container height minus the y margin. So our rectangles are all going to start at the bottom, and then they're going to grow upwards. So we've got to kind of reverse the height. Now we're going to introduce something new here. And to do that, I'm going to come back up to the top. And inside of React Native, I'm going to import animated and easing. And then right below this screen width, maybe right above it, say const animated rect equals animated dot create animated component, and that's going to be a rect. I'm going to say const animated svg text equals animated dot create svg text. So we're going to have animated rectangles for our bar charts. And also this will be for our tooltips when we get down to that part. And yeah, so we'll come back down here to our function. Why is that red? No, I probably just need to save it. So after we get our y, we're going to return data.map item index, and we'll figure out our x. It's going to be x margin times 2 plus the x gap times the index, and then the height of our bar is going to equal y max minus the value of our bar, so that's item at y key, times the y gap divided by the y value gap plus the y margin. I had to play with this for a while. Oops, this should be subtracting, I believe, and y key needs an underscore. And then we'll say const bar height is equal to the container height minus the y margin minus the height. So we'll say start down here. The container, subtract 50 from the x margin, and then subtract the height up till we get to the top of the bar. And here's where we make it a little more fun. We'll say let animated height equals new animated dot value, and it'll start at 0. And we'll animated dot timing. We could have used React Native Reanimated for this, and I think we might do that somewhere else. I think in like the pie chart. So anyways, the first argument to this is the variable animated height and then we're going to pass in a config object, and so I'm going to say toValue, and that's a negative bar height, because our rectangles actually, it's kind of interesting, because we did all the subtractions here like I just explained, but really we still have to put a negative on there, otherwise our bar chart's going to be driving itself downwards because of the way the rectangle works. So toValue that, the duration is going to be 500 milliseconds. The easing is going to be easing.linear. Let's put a comma right there. And use native driver is true. And then don't forget we need a dot start, otherwise our animation will never take place. And so now we're going to return G with the key, bars, index, and I'm going to say that instead of a regular rect, like we would normally do, we'll just do this first. Let's fill it out. X is going to equal X minus the bar width divided by 2. I do not think we have a bar width yet. We do not. Let's go up to our config, and we will say bar width is equal to, say, maybe something like 20. And we'll say Y is going to equal the Y value. The height is going to equal animated, if it is animated. So we need to add a config for that. I'll say animated equals true. So if it is animated, then we'll put in the animated height, otherwise negative bar height. Because when we did our animated, we made it negative here. We could have just times this by -1 as well, but our width is equal to the bar width, and our fill is equal to the bar color, and we don't have that, so let's go up here and add a bar color. We'll just start out with a green, work our way back around whenever we get to it. We're going to give it an opacity. That's bar opacity. We don't have that either. Bar opacity 0.8. And we'll make this one an on press item, and we need to add an on press up here as well. On press item. Sorry for the jumpiness. I think it'll be worth it when we get done. So we had to calculate the height, and then do some subtraction on that, and then even split that negative, animate that, and then this, instead of rect, needs to be our animated rect. If we don't make it animated rect and we put this animated height in there, pretty sure it's going to crash. But let's see. Let's cross our fingers. Oh, we crashed anyway. Oh, it's our bar color up here. This should be an equal sign. And render bar chart doesn't exist. Oh, well, let's see, why not? Forgot the T. I forgot the T. You probably didn't forget anything. Hey, look at that. See it animated in there. How sweet is that? We could change our duration. We could change our easing. I think linear for this just makes perfect sense. So in the next video, I'm going to take this one step further and add the ability to make these gradient. And then we'll come back and add some tool tips. And that will finish off our bar chart.